Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Relationships. You've got a 6-day vacation holiday planned out and paid for with your friends and your significant other. One day before leaving on the trip, your significant other told you they just cheated. What do? Well, that's exactly what happened to our next OP. This one's from user Janet Doe 77. Boyfriend of 3 years just admitted to cheating. We're on vacation together. I don't know what to do. I, 30 female, have been in a seemingly happy relationship for a little over 3 years. My boyfriend, 32 male, is wonderful. We have lived together for about 2 years, rarely ever argue. We have so much in common, and honestly, he is my best friend. I love him and know that I want to marry this man. He flew to his hometown yesterday. I flew down this morning and we are both catching a plane in the morning to go on vacation together for 6 days with 2 other friends of ours. Everything is paid for and cancellations are not possible this last minute. I've been in our hotel room bawling my eyes out and dry heaving for the past 2 hours. I Ubered from the airport, and when he came down to help me with my bags, I immediately knew something was wrong. He looked like hell and was visibly nervous. Once we got into the hotel room, he started tearing up and told me he had something to tell me. That he knows I'm going to leave him, but he can't keep a secret like that from me. He explained how he and a few of his childhood friends all went to a bar and he ran into a girl he went to college with. They never slept together, but did go on a few dates almost 7 years ago. She invited him and a group of other people back to her house where they all proceeded to get drunk and do coke all night. I know about the occasional coke use. And just catch up. Basically, he and the college friend ended up sleeping together, and then she drove him to our hotel early this morning. He hasn't talked to her since and swears that it means absolutely nothing. He said she's not even attractive and that he was just effed up. He says it was a big mistake and is begging for my forgiveness. A huge part of me wants to ask for every last detail, but I'm scared to know that there is potentially more to the story. I don't know. I want to forgive him and enjoy our time away, but I truly don't know how. Are there such occasions where you really can't help yourself and it really was a spur-of-the-moment mistake? Or is there something hidden beneath the surface and my happy relationship has been anything but this whole time? After basically begging him, he told me the name of the girl and I reached out to her. I called her and put her on speaker so we all 3 could talk. Unfortunately, I'm learning the situation was much worse than the story originally told, and I will be on a flight home in a few hours. The other girl is not unattractive. The intimacy was not protected. He and her had been flirty the entire 3 hours before they finally slept together. Hand holding, sitting on his lap, making out a lot. He went down on her and basically the intimate act lasted quite a while with various things being done. Not like the coked out unpleasant quickie I was told about. I flew home this morning, took a nap, packed some of my things, took our cat, and I'm staying with a friend for the 6 days he's away. He didn't want to go on the trip, but I insisted. I told him if he has ever loved me, to please give me the time and space I deserve. Unfortunately, our relationship is broken beyond repair. The reasoning behind why he cheated doesn't matter because the fact remains that he did. That in all of our time together, I've never even considered or wondered about another man, and the first chance he got, he chose to have unsafe intimacy with someone else. I believe that he loves me and quite possibly is sorry. I don't, however, believe that he has any respect for me or our life together. I don't know that I'd ever forgive him or trust him again. No respect and no trust means no relationship. We do have a shared life, so the ending of this relationship is not quite as easy as me packing and leaving and not looking back. We have shared accounts, both of our names on our lease, shared phone plans and car insurance. Basically, the next few weeks are going to be rough. Well, OP, I'm truly sorry this happened to you. However, you've got everything straight. I agree with what you said about your relationship being broken beyond repair. That's true. Also with the fact that it doesn't matter if he's sorry he cheated anyways. And here's a tip for you so they don't use the, oh, I was effed up, so, I make mistakes. No. Nobody forced you to get effed up. If you voluntarily got effed up, then everything you did while being effed up, it's still your responsibility and you should own up to it. So he cheated on you, and it doesn't matter how many substances he took to get there. Now, regarding the next few weeks of this story, we've got all 3 updates and we're gonna put them into one block. So let's continue with all the updates together. Update 1. I have no idea if anyone cares about the outcome of this situation, but it is almost cathartic to write it all down, so I'm doing it anyway. I finally have a calm moment to sit at my computer and compose a logical thought. Upon me returning home, he and I had very little communication at my request. I had originally planned to spend the week at my friend's home to process this life-altering event, but early this afternoon, he texted me telling me he was home. Now, some people might think that shows a lot of effort on his part, that he's remorseful and rather than enjoy his vacation, he flew home to talk. Perhaps I would feel that way too, except I asked for space. I told him that if he ever loved me, he would give me time alone. He couldn't even give me that. I agreed to meet with him at our apartment to talk. I only wanted to talk about and sort out all the details, our finances, home, etc. We agreed on paying to break our lease, to stay on the insurance policy and phone plan together for now, but unenroll autopay so we're able to make our payments separately. I also asked him to reimburse me for what I paid towards a vacation from hell. I wanted to wrap things up enough in that moment to where I would have to see and speak to him as little as possible. I know that some communication in the future will be inevitable, but right now I can't deal with it. I told him he can stay in our apartment until we have to leave. I packed some more of my things and left. I don't know if he looked upset or if he was crying. I honestly barely heard anything he had to say because I was so enraged at the person in front of me, a complete stranger. I don't know if the past 3 years were all a lie. I don't know if he has cheated before or that he would cheat on me again. All I am sure of is that he was capable of lying and cheating now. I refuse to be another cautionary tale of a woman who loved someone more than herself, so she forgave a cheater only to be cheated on again. There is a big difference between guilt and remorse. Update 2. I am all moved out of the apartment. My things go into storage because I am still staying in my friend's home for the time being. This breakup has proved to be financially burdensome, but somehow money has managed to be the least stressful part of this ordeal. It turns out that I never knew the man I shared my life with for the past 3 years. My ex and I ended up having a conversation on the last day of us moving out. He seemed apologetic and sad and asked if we could talk. He said that he loves me, that he will always love me, and he wants us to stay together. He apologized and said he would stop BSing, no more lies. I didn't feel the need to have a conversation, but I did have just one question. I asked him, why? I never could have imagined in a million years that he would tell me that the reason he cheated was because I miscarried 6 months ago. Especially because of how supportive and loving he was during that period in our lives. I felt blindsided and betrayed. He said that he knows that it was not my fault, that there was nothing I could have done differently, but it had caused him to resent me, that he was angry. He said he knew how this sounded, which is why he never talked to me about it. He didn't want to hurt me. Ha! I, of course, at this point felt sick. My heart hurt in ways I never knew possible. Even the death of my father did not hurt in ways his words and actions were hurting me. Here is a man that I have unconditionally loved and supported for over 3 years. I was his biggest cheerleader in life, encouraged him to be his own person and still live his own life. I wanted him to be happy. We never went to bed mad at each other. We never called each other names. We never not kissed each other goodnight or goodbye in the morning. Our relationship seemed great, and yet he's telling me for the last 6 months he has resented me, borderline hated me at times. He admitted to downloading Tinder and chatting with women over the last 6 months. He swore that it never became intimate until the night he cheated, and that was only because they had history. I have no clue if that is true. Honestly, I don't care whether it is or not. The cheating is minimal compared to the words he just spoke. We were both crying and I handed him my keys for him to turn in. I gave him a hug and told him that he needs therapy and that I never want to speak or see him again. I have a therapy appointment next week and will start to work on healing. I am looking at potentially getting a loan so I can get out of anything left that we have shared. I also want to look into moving to a different city, but that is still up in the air. I have changed my phone number and blocked him everywhere. There was never a chance of him and I getting back together, and this just solidifies my decision. Final update. I thought my last update would really be the last, but a lot has happened in such a short amount of time. I figured I could close this chapter with a neat little bow. First, I want to say thank you to each and every person that commented or messaged from either post. The outpouring of love is more than I could ever have imagined receiving from strangers. I see so many posts on here with much worse stories, and I don't know what I did to deserve the love and support, but I am eternally grateful. Second and finally, me and my ex have not talked. There is absolutely no way for him to reach me directly, as I ended up moving in with a different friend for the time being. He does not know about this. He still thinks I am at friend A's house and communicates with her if there is anything that needs to be said in regards to business matters. She does not allow him to talk about anything personal, and if he does, she does not pass it along. We have zero things connecting us at this point. In my last post, I talked about possibly moving cities, and well, that happened. I was offered a job I had been trying to get for quite some time, and the position finally opened up. I have been working from home for about a week. Will work from home for another week, and then I move. Rhonda, my kitty, is probably not going to be too thrilled, but we have a vet appointment for some kitty meds to hopefully ease the transition. She's top priority, always. I love my new job, I love my friends, and I love where my life is headed. I wish nothing bad for my ex and have no ill will towards him, and truly hope he can find peace in his life. Often what we lose is nothing compared to what we gain. It's just getting past our human ego and being able to see it. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for coming along on this journey with me. I wish you all happiness and love in your life. XX. And there you go. It was a rough ride for OP, but eventually she got to where she needed to be, in a much better place, and it happened without compromising anything, without thinking she needed to go back to her ex to be happy, or that she had to forgive him, or anything like that. I don't agree with cheaters, particularly because of how selfish they are. They're usually only sorry when they get caught, and then they started making up excuses as to why they cheated, like that makes it any better. The fact remains binary, 1 or 0, yes or no. Did they cheat? And that's it. But then again, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think about this whole thing? How do you feel OP reacted and managed this whole situation? I feel she did great. So on that note, let's move on to the next story. There are cheating stories where there's growth and learning, and we also have cheating stories where the person that gets cheated on gets back at the person who cheated. Some people call it revenge, some people call it pushing karma. And that's the story of our next OP. This one's from user Fantasy Crochet. Cheat on me, I'll get your child support raised and your card repossessed. First, the child support. So I was with my ex-husband for about 10 years. When I first met him, he knocked up his previous girlfriend before meeting me. Basically, kind of ghosted her. Now reflecting back on what happened. Convinced me it was her keeping him away from his kid and that he was just the poor victim in all of it. She had taken him to court, got child support for around $324 a month for a while, then tried to take him back to get it raised cause she thought he was working and making more, but it backfired and it got reduced to $112 a month. It stayed like that for about 6 to 7 years, and he actually got behind a couple of times just paying this because he'd lose a job here or there. One of the many ways he convinced me to move out of my home state to his, there's more jobs in his home state and cost of living is cheaper. Come 2018. I decided to leave him because he wasn't putting in the effort to find the job that would support both of us while I went to nursing school. I had been working the same full-time federal government job and doing school part-time our entire relationship, supporting us while he went to school for medical billing and coding and didn't do anything with it once he was done. His excuse? They're outsourcing these jobs to India. He bounced from one job to another for one reason or another. Once it came time for me to actually finally apply to a nursing program, I told him he needed to finally step up. He told me he would, but never said what he was doing. He would come home from work and complain about the work and the people he worked with. He was eventually fired from that job because his boss said he worked way too slow and was delaying orders going out for the company. We also had a bit of a dead bedroom, so that also pushed me to want to leave him. So I finally decided to leave, and my ex moved in with an ex-roommate a couple of months later. She had lived with us previously because she found out her first husband had cheated on her. We had decided to help her get on her feet, and she met her second husband, then moved out. Why is this important? Because 4 months after I left, I found emails with nudes of this ex-roommate that my ex was forwarding to a secret email account I had no clue about. They had been a lot more friendly than I had realized for over 4+ years. The ex-roommate, who was currently living in our marital home, was separated from her second husband because my ex didn't like him in the house. Granted, I didn't like him either because he was a sleazebag who was also cheating on her, but I digress. My ex even got friendly with his ex-wife. I was wife number 2, and a third person I didn't recognize. Then found out my ex knocked up the roommate 2 months after being official. I didn't get to confront my ex or her with this other than me writing an email and attaching the photos I now had. I had to do something else. So I reached out to my ex's girlfriend who he has his first child with. He's made no effort to be in his kid's life, a source of fights for us here and there. And I tried a few times over the years of reaching out to her and establishing a relationship between them. My mom has a bigger relationship with a kid she has no relation to than my piece of ass ex. I told her I left him, that he was making way more money at his job and she could file to have it looked at. She did and got it increased to $264 a month. I was a child of divorce. I know how it was to struggle when child support wasn't there, and I'm glad I could at least influence it a little for him. My mom is a second grandma to my ex's son. She has a bigger bond with him than his own father, which is so sad and messed up, but at least there's people who are there for him. It goes to prove that DNA doesn't make you a family. Now for the repo of the car. After I left, he decided to buy a brand new Chevy Equinox for over $32,000. I have access to his Credit Karma account, so that's how I know. He works commission-based sales selling furniture, TVs, and appliances. He doesn't bring home much. He actually opened a credit card through his work, bought $5,000 worth of stuff to furnish the house, and let it go to collections. He used my contact info and they called me trying to collect on it. The payments on that new car was about $634 a month. He made 2 payments, then stopped. Now, we had bought a house together before I left, and he finally agreed to sell our marital home after getting behind on the payments and not doing what he needed to keep it. We had over 60% equity in the house. You see, we had a condo we sold for a good chunk of money. I wanted to use the money to pay down debt, which would help us while I tried to go to school. My intention was to do full-time school while he worked. He wanted to buy a house instead, so he bullied me into buying said house, and we put 60% down of the asking price, which made the mortgage around $485 a month. His logic was a small house payment along with bills is more manageable than paying off bills, and we would have had enough to buy a small house outright on top of it. But that wasn't good enough. His dad had moved into a room we had, was paying $400 a month for it, so there was no reason the mortgage wasn't getting paid. I ended up moving out while him and his dad stayed, but he got severely behind and didn't want to refinance after all our finances went through an even split. Apparently, his dad stopped paying, then found a place, didn't tell my ex about it, and moved out while leaving his room and garage a wreck, causing about $5,000 worth of damage that he had to pay for. After push came to shove, he agreed to finally sell when I told him that's what was going to happen when I left. He basically blew through his portion while I still sit on a good chunk after I paid off my bills. He decided to use his half of the sale to buy a smaller house outright instead of paying off his bills. Anyway, I found out his new address, called the company that originated the loan, and updated them with his current information. You see, he used my phone number as a contact. When they called me asking for payment, I gave him his phone and address and said we're divorced and I'm not responsible. Haven't heard anything since, so hopefully they'll be picking up their car any day now. As for me, I'm currently finishing my 6th semester. My last final is today, and I've pulled all B's this semester. I'm set to graduate May 2021. I have a very supportive boyfriend who's helped me from the beginning to get me where I am, doing physical labor that puts him in a lot of pain most days just to get me through, and I'll be returning the favor for him when I'm working as a nurse. Well, OP, I'm really happy you removed yourself from that weird, horrible mess of a bunch of people just cheating on each other and having children willy-nilly that they're not taken care of. That part sucks. It's great that you helped his ex-girlfriend, the mother of his first kid, to get more money from child support, because this guy is scum. And also, it's pretty cool you gave his information to the repo company so they could take his car. Nicely done. And having said that, I am really happy you're in a much better place regarding your studies, regarding your love life, and everything else. So good for you, OP, and all the best for the future. Okay, well, we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope that you guys liked it. If you did, please go ahead and click like. If you still haven't subscribed, then go ahead and click subscribe with the bell so you get notified when I upload a new video. Also, here you'll find 4 different videos, 2 from Lost Genre, which is this channel, and 2 from my other channel, LG Reddit AITA, a channel focused exclusively on Am I the A-hole? So go ahead and give that channel a try. Alright, and having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.